to come back to? Is that on the path to building internet treasure? And we all talk about being sustainable and profitable, but for what purpose? And the idea that that's this greater purpose and opportunity for what we're all doing was just, it was really inspiring for us.
So it inspires you. Has it changed your life?
I'd say that it brought so much into focus that it's made it easier to make a lot of long-term investment decisions that we'll ask ourselves often, what's the path that's going to get us there in 10 years? And so for one example for you, we've recently embraced NPS, using a Net Promoter Score to really understand what is the long-term value that you're bringing to your user base. And so we've started to look at the NPS for all of our different games.
Hey, come on now. NPS, what's a Net Promoter Score?
Well, Net Promoter Score it's a standardized survey of the user base that gives you an index measure for the likelihood that they would promote this to somebody else and the likelihood that they would be a detractor of it.
So this is a measure of virality.
It gets to virality, but it actually gets to retention more than virality.
In what way?
If you have a high NPS score, and by the way, we also through our customer support, we measure our customer satisfaction every day and benchmark that as well. And
how do you measure that?
We have a standardized survey of customers after going through support. And since we started focusing on these measures, it's also given our teams permission to do things that they think are the right thing for the customer and the right thing for the long term. And I know you guys all experience this too. How do you decide how much time you're going to spend on bugs and performance when you can't necessarily measure, you don't have usually a measurement of how that's going to impact?
Yeah, so I think of the games as kind of a hit business with a bunch of creative people that have this instinct about what's right. I'm getting a different sense from you now. It's a very data-driven and analytic. What's the culture really like there inside of Zynga?
We definitely are, I don't want to say data junkies. We measure everything. We've invested incredibly in data warehousing. We measure, we track, we capture, analyze every click, every click, every day, in every game, and it's more than a petabyte.
Every click, every game, every day, 30, 40, 50 million people, thousands. How much data is this?
It's more than a petabyte of data a day.
And how big is a petabyte?
I don't know.
Thousands terabytes?
We're adding 1,000 servers a week, so
how many?
All I know is I get these big bills.
How many servers do you have?
I believe that we're somewhere north of 20,000.
Not including AWS.
Not including AWS.
Well, the interesting thing about being metric driven is how challenging it is for big people coming out of traditional creative businesses to recenter from being the emperor of creative judgment to being the people who come up with the great A/B test ideas. We've got a lot of really big, successful creative leaders out of the traditional game business, and it's been an interesting journey for every single one.
Yeah, I think it's important on that point that Bing and I represent kind of two DNA strands in the company of kind of the traditional gaming, intuition and creativity, and the more web-centric, data-driven approach. And for our company, it's been a challenging journey, but the growth for us has been learning how to really respect both and bring them both together. And neither one would work on its own. And so what's great to see is that we're starting to get now to people who've made it through both tracks. So we're getting game designers who are driven by metrics, and we're getting web product managers who are starting to really respect great design.
So let's zoom out a little bit and stay with our theme, which is disrupt. Maybe first, and then Mark, what is disruptive about social games? In what way do they just blow away the establishment of entertainment?
I'm gonna go all the way back to the first time I met Mark. So I've been thinking there were 4 new themes that were going to disrupt traditional gaming. I was thinking social, I was thinking analytics, what I call the API-able internet that Mark renamed, and probably better, the app economy, and new payment methods with free with virtual goods. And I've been thinking about each of them as separate vectors. And what's disruptive, what's social, when I met Mark, the first sentence he said is social games is the next big thing. And I went, oh my God, here's a guy who's integrated 4 disruptions into a single strategy. This is going to be big. And I looked over at Mark, and there was this purely aura of vision guy going all around his hair. But so to me, that's the big disrupt, is 4 disruptions in one.
And your take on this? Disrupt?
Well, so I'll also remind everyone, because I was in this room in May of '07 when Facebook announced their initial opening of their platform. And I'll remind everyone that in the summer of '07, my friends and everyone around me felt sorry for me. They were like, Mark, they thought I had no self-respect. They're like, Mark, you're really building a Facebook apps company? And that's the whole company?
That's your dream?
That's your dream. And
big vision.
Yeah, not a big vision to that. But the idea that hit me after failing with Tribe, an early social networking effort, was that games and fun were not a big macro on the internet yet, and it was shocking. And the disruptive point for me was not about apps and platforms. It was this idea that maybe games weren't a mainstream activity because there was something wrong with that. Not that there wasn't a lack of an interest in people to have a diversion for 5 or 10 minutes and connect with their friends, but it just hasn't been offered. And so what I think was most disruptive for the gaming industry was taking down the barriers to entry. What if someone could click into a game and know what it is and play it with 3 clicks? That was even before you got to them actually seeing their friends.
I'd say about this time as well. So in the video game business, we're thinking, we got 200 million people playing. We're selling products that sell 10 million boxes. That's a mass market. Scott Forstall at Apple said, Bing, that's not a mass market. There's a billion owners of phones. A billion, now that's a mass market. And Pincus said, there's going to be a billion people on the social web. That's a mass market. So getting somebody like me who thought 10 million and 200 million were big numbers, based on my past, it was big numbers. But it's nice hanging out with people who think that